We apologize for disrupting your normal daily schedule. You may now relax, tuck your deck back in, and resume your regular day-to-day life. Remember to subscribe to be notified the moment each new episode goes live every Wednesday. And join our Facebook group to continue the conversation. The link is in the description to this podcast. Thank you for listening to The Magic Podcast.
Welcome back to the Magic Podcast with me, Craig Petty.
And me, Lloyd Barnes.
I don't even remember how to do one of these, Lloyd.
You don't even know. You just said Magic Podcast.
I can't speak. I'm in shock. I can't believe that we're doing this again. It must be the only podcast nominated as a FISM award-winning podcast that never fucking goes on the on the air. I mean, we do one a year. It's kind of.
I'm not saying we're the best podcast out there, but
this podcast is like my sex life. Basically, never happens.
Yeah, everyone loves it.
But in all seriousness, how the fuck did we get nominated? When
The bigger question is why the fuck, and please don't vote for us.
Don't vote. But
honestly, it's the worst fucking
Never
podcast in Magic. And it says a lot when this is the worst podcast in Magic, and there are some fucking shit podcasts out there.
There's some terrible ones. There's some.
I feel like we were nominated for a laugh.
Somebody just is taking the piss, especially when you consider, like, look at the Penguin podcast. Eric Tate every week interviewing an industry expert. Fucking Eric didn't get nominated. He's just been on the cover of every fucking magazine there is. He just didn't get nominated. By the way, did the Wizard Product Review get nominated? It's not even a fucking podcast. David Penn put it online as a podcast after he got nominated, but it wasn't nominated. It wasn't a podcast beforehand. I'm just looking at the list. I'm sorry. We have to talk about this.
Yeah, who's our competition?
No. Scott Wells, the Magic Word podcast. I can accept that. I can accept that.
I've never listened to it.
Fairly well-known podcast. Discourse in Magic. Nemid listens to a lot of podcasts. He's told me that one's quite good. I haven't listened to it.
I think I've been interviewed on that one.
I have you.
Oh. I don't know. I think so. It depends. I think I have. Have I?
Then you've got the Magic Guys podcast. I've never heard of them.
Never heard of that.
Then you've got the Wizard Magic Review. The fuck? It's not.
That's a YouTube series.
YouTube channel. And then the Magic Podcast with Lloyd Barnes and Craig Petty. They haven't even put on Richard Young's podcast, the Magic Podcast. You know, the Magician's Podcast. Like
What's that one?
The OG podcast. It's probably because it's behind a paywall, but nobody. It's made a whole mockery of it that we've been nominated.
Wait a minute. Well, let's fucking. If you're listening to this, go and vote for us. How shit it is. Is there a way to? I'm sure there was a link to vote. I'm sure I shared the link to vote.
There is a link. Yeah, I can put the link in the description down below.
What is it? Now would be an ideal time to know what the link.
Okay, I've got it here. FISM Italy 2025.com and then /online-magic-special-awards.
Fuck me.
Gives you all of the online awards. And they're all pretty fucking mental. Any fucking time, there is a best magician's communication platform and the Magic Cafe has been voted for that. That's just what the actual fuck. Is it an award for the most toxic environment on the Magic community? Is it an award for the biggest collection of cunts in Magic? Like what?
Well, we definitely win that fucker.
And Theory 11's Magic Forum is also voted for the best magician's communication platform. Does Theory 11 even have a Magic Forum anymore? Do they even sell Magic anymore?
I thought they just made playing cards for movies. No.
I didn't even know there was still a forum there. It's just ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous.
I'm trying to make an easier URL for people who. Okay, right. Go to tinyurl.com/vote TMP 25. One, like, no spaces. So vote TMP for the Magic Podcast 25. Go to that URL and then put a fucking vote in for us. Half of me wants to win the award to say FISM winner. Half me wants to win it to say this is a mockery that we were even nominated, and the other half of me wants to win it because I'm bad at maths.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Are you going to be at FISM? I'm sure you're not, because that would involve you leaving Wales.
Oh,
But
fuck no. How many have I done? 4, 5 FISMs, I think I've been to. There's such a different vibe to other magic conventions. It's
in what way? I've only ever done one.
I've done Italy, South Korea twice, and somewhere else. I fucking think.
England. You must have gone to the one in England. They did it.
Yeah, was that in Blackpool?
Yeah.
The only thing I know about that one, or I don't know it to be true, the only thing I remember about it was that do you remember Kevin Schaller, the German creator, younger guy?
Yeah.
He went there and it was so badly done. Like he was complaining that the buffet had chicken nuggets or something, that he quit magic. And genuinely quit magic. He came up, put an online post up, and then he actually, he was quite good. He released a trick called Xbox with Dave Forrest. That was a really good idea. He had some great thinking, very, very creative ideas. And he hated it so much that he quit magic, and he actually did quit magic.
I mean that's terrible, and that he quit magic because of that. But also, I'm sorry, but you can't be that into magic if you quit because you didn't like a magic convention.
Also, judging Blackpool on their food, do you know what I mean? This is England. It'd be like me going to America and complaining that they shoot kids in schools. Dude, it's just part of the culture. That's just their thing that they're into.
Yeah, you have a certain thing that you know you're going to get when you go to Blackpool.
Chicken nuggets, bad chicken nuggets is that's lucky. That's a good. I mean,
yeah, that's actually a delicacy in parts of Blackpool, really, to be perfectly honest.
It could just be like an AIDS infested needle. I'm like, oh man, I ordered chicken nuggets, and what I got instead was the clap. Then I'd be complaining.
Oh yeah, well, I can't believe you quit magic in Blackpool, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But I'm going to be at FISM this year. I'm going to be on the Penguin Magic booth. I'm going to be there the whole time.
I was going to say, if you are entering, then
if I was entering, I would whoop everyone's ass.
Oh yeah. But what category? The micro penis category? Micro.
Yes, definitely that category. No, I'd never enter. I'd never enter. I just embarrass it. I've spoken to people that have entered FISM, and they dedicate their lives to it for years. They literally dedicate their lives to it for years, and they have training regimes. I couldn't do that. I'd probably just rock up with a pack of cards and just wing it. So I'm not FISM material by any stretch of imagination. It takes a certain person to perform and compete at FISM. Harry Merlin Piper, the current Young Magician of the Year at the Magic Circle Young Magician of the Year, is the youngest person to represent England in FISM.
No way.
He's going to be at FISM at the age of 14, and he's going to be in the category for stage illusions. He's doing stage illusions, I think.
Holy shit! I met Harry. I think, didn't I, at the Magic Podcast meetup in Blackpool? Yeah, what a talented young guy.
Yeah, he annoys the
super lovely kid.
Yeah. I want to slap him. He's so talented. I hate people that are that talented at that age.
It makes me jealous. If I was that talented at that age, I'd be so my life would just be a different. Actually, no, my life wouldn't be different. I would still be a lazy fat cunt who wants to do nothing.
But the thing is, he's good at everything. He can do ventriloquism. He can do he's great at speaking on stage, vocal projection, magic, illusions, manipulation, comedy magic, close-up magic. Is anything he puts his hand to, singing, he's really good at. It makes you wonder why he's actually in magic. He could fucking hunger and find a cure for cancer, but no, he's stuck doing fucking card tricks.
Yeah, there are those people out there you just think, fuck me, they're just too good for this art form. Yeah, I said the loosest term.
He's wasting his life doing magic. He needs to go and solve world hunger or something like that. That's what the kid needs to do. Yeah, well, I mean, I think he's a lifer. Sometimes the amount of people, as a parent of a kid magician, the amount of people that go, "Oh, he's really good, but he won't stick it," and I'm like, well, maybe you will, maybe you won't, but
why do they care? It's up to kid what they're into.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one day Ryland will find tits.
Not his own.
and then
Or his
everything will
mother's.
fucking change, probably. Or maybe it won't.
I'm so conflicted. Like you put up that new quest to find the next star of Magic TV, and my vote went to Jess Howard because she seemed like she's just finishing school and she wants to make it as a career. And I thought, well, like all the pictures on there, she actually seemed like she's making a decision now, like right this second, and so you could track the journey. I was thinking, so I voted for her because I said, oh, I'm a father of 2 kids, and it'd be interesting to see what choice or see the progression of somebody who might want to take that seriously as a career. And the other part of me thinks like, fucking hell, the Magic community is it can be the, I mean, my friendship circle is the Magic community. It could also be a fucking horrendous place. Like me and you, since we've met, apart from like literally aging, we've aged through the tribulations and the trials that we've been through. And I wonder, like, do I want my kid to go to that, or is that just part of any passionate industry that you're in or art form that you're in?
I've spoken to people about this, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's the same in our industry. Same in the photography industry. It's the same in the, I think there's a lot of industries that are like it, where it's quite. What's weird about magic, I think, and maybe it's the same in other industries. I don't know. You have this weird scenario where people are friends with each other. We've got this community, but at the same time, they're competing against each other in many different ways. Maybe it's magic competitions, traditional magic competitions. Maybe it's people that are vying for gigs and
Cutting each other things.
behind the scenes, they're trying to get the same gig, but in front of the, away from that, they're friends and companions and stuff. And then the creator community can be quite it can be there's elements of the creator community which are really like helpful and people helping each other and so on and so forth, but there's other areas as well where you've heard it. Oh, he stole my trick, I showed him my idea and now it's come out myself, or he stole this trick, or he stole this trick, or people putting other people's tricks down to try and make their trick look better. There's a lot of that going on, but at the same time, it's a community and it's a hobby. And I think a lot of the people that come into it and just stay there at a hobbyist level, they don't see the
murky depths. Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky because like I think that's a good way of saying it, because it's almost like as soon as it turns into business for some people, if somebody sees like their ideas being profited off by someone else, then that's like they see it as taking food off their table in some way, which is in some respects and in some cases is a fair, you can see. I remember like I won't name names because it's not about that, but I remember somebody I know, a good friend of mine, spent years working on an electronic product and it came out with great success, and within a few months somebody had copied it and put out their own version, and just basically like when my friend sent them a cease and desist, and they just said, like, basically, fuck off. and they never got acknowledged. But that was like, tens of thousands of pounds down the drain. And then it is suddenly just a bit more than a hobby, than fun. And then, like you said, like people undercutting gigs. And yeah, it can get, and I suppose, it's got to happen in other industries. I suppose music industry, sports is a lot of fierce competition.
Very competitive, yeah.
It's so anyway, the point I make was I just wondered, would I want my kids potentially in this?
Well, unfortunately, I don't think at this point I can put the toothpaste back in the tube.
No, those feathers are out of the pillow now, mate.
Yeah, I'm fucked there.
Your kids are doomed though, because you're their dad, so they're fucked. You just gotta pay for the therapy. You just gotta earn enough money to support the therapy when they turn 18.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to make enough money that I can retire. They're my retirement plan. So,
Thomas, my kid Thomas, he's 4, fucking loves magic, and he was like, the other day, his grandma was blowing bubbles, and he was like, "Let's put a coin in the bubble," and she said, "Oh, okay, let's try it." He put it in, and it burst the bubble. It's too heavy. And he said, "Why don't we make a bubble out of rubber and put a trap door in it?" He's fucking 4. And I was like, what? And I was like, hang on, there's a guy called Finn John, who I believe he's a FISM winner in like the 80s. It's like Finn John sort of come up with this concept of rubber bubbles way back then when, and it was like his whole, not his whole act, but a big part of his notoriety was for that. I was like, see, and I was like, oh no, Lloyd, don't just let him get good at poker, take him to a casino like fucking Rain Man and just use him that way.
Well, all I can say is the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, buddy.
Yeah, he's got a massive dick too. Vote for us at FISM, everyone. tinyurl.com/vote TMP 2025.
Nobody's gonna vote for us. Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
The problem is, if people vote for, and we've had this issue in the past where we come on here, we say the stuff that we talk about in our day-to-day lives that we don't want other people to. I always worry that people will realize how fucking repugnant and thick we really are. And this podcast was my prayer was that no one would listen to it. And then you called me like, oh, by the way, fucking so-and-so contacted me the other day, and it'd be like a superstar, A-list, higher than A-list celebrity in magic. So-and-so listens to this podcast, and I'm like, and then the next podcast I try and dumb myself or quieten myself down more so I don't reveal how fucking disgusting of a human I am.
Well, here's the thing. This is why I think this podcast has survived despite several attempts of destroying it. I think the reason is most people, and you do this on YouTube, and I do this on YouTube as well, on our own channels. Most content creators, whether it's on podcasts or on YouTube or whatever, I think they pretend to be somebody they're not. I think that you come across as maybe the best version of you or an exaggerated version of you. I always say when I was doing the rants, it was me, but with the volume turned up to 10, and I see that a lot with a lot of content creators. They become the best version of themselves. And I think that what this podcast does quite well is we just don't give a fuck. This is who we are.
It's just the phone calls we have.
Yeah, this is just two mates having a chat. I sometimes forget that we're even recording this.
Yeah, same.
And I think that's what makes this. People, I think, know that we're genuine, which is why we don't censor the language, because you won't see Lloyd swear on his channel because he censors himself. But
although I have started letting a few F-bombs go on there recently.
Have you?
Only little ones. I tell you why I stopped swearing on there, because I swear I mean, we don't need to. This is episode whatever of the Magic Podcast. If you don't fucking realize by now that we swear a lot, it's at least for Wales, it's a big part of our culture. I don't know why, and people may want to disagree with me, but I'll tell you to find any average Welsh man that doesn't say fuck instead of hello. You know what I mean? But I started doing YouTube. And I was just chatting as I normally would. You're like, oh, like if I dropped the coin, oh fuck, dropped the coin, oh shit. And then I went to the local supermarket and I seen a friend of mine, and he was like, oh my god, Lloyd, me and my sons, my two kids, one was 4 and 8 or 8 and 6, and they were like, oh, we started watching your channel, we love it. And they're not magicians. And I came home, I was like, oh fuck, like kids are watching my channel. It was like one of the first times I realized that like kids and families were watching. I was like, do you know what? I'm probably gonna just try and be a bit more family friendly, just for that reason.
I understand that. However, on the flip side of that, oh, he's going off. He can still hear me. I totally get where he's coming from. However, on the flip side of things, from my point of view, why am I talking? He's going to go and make a phone call. If I carry on talking about this when he comes back, I will just have to repeat the same thing again. So instead, I'll chat to you guys while I'm waiting for Lloyd to come back in. Welcome back to the Magic Podcast. For those of you that are going to ask, I have no idea when the next episode is. It's nailing Lloyd down. He's got 2 kids now, and he's busy with Murphys and creating magic. But yeah, we're going to do them as and when we can. We used to try and do them weekly. It's not going to be weekly anymore. Getting Lloyd invested in doing one of these for more than half an hour is an absolute fucking miracle. But it is what it is. Anyway. What can I talk about now? Okay, I can talk about this. One of the reasons that we're filming this podcast today is because me and Lloyd have been on the phone, and we have been, we've been on Zoom all morning, putting the finishing touches to our next joint release. He is a piece of news that you guys didn't know that we were going to drop. Yeah, we got a new joint release, as you know. We worked together on the Infinity Deck. That was our very first project together, which was very, very popular. So thank you everyone that picked that up. Well, now we're working on another release, this one right here. We've been working on it for about a year, and next Wednesday we're filming the tutorial for this at Smoke and Mirrors. So we worked together on the Infinity Deck. We kind of we worked together. It was me and Lloyd. It was my name on it. It was me and Lloyd on the what was it called? The Atomic Deck. What was it called? The Atomic Deck. And this one here, I'll tell you the name. It's called the Savant Deck. It's going to be exciting.
I'm back.
I was
Sorry.
just chatting. No, I was just chatting, waiting. I was chatting.
Sorry, I know I didn't miss fuck all, because what could you have said with that's important?
No.
Anyway.
Nothing at all. Absolute. Weren't dropping secrets that you didn't want to know anyway, so it's fine. What I was saying is, I totally get what you're coming from the whole, oh, families are on my channel, so I shouldn't swear. I get that. However, on the other fucking side of things, my attitude towards my kids is the same attitude my dad had to me, which is I'm going to, swearing is a part of life, especially here in the UK. They are going to hear swear words, and as long as they know there's a right time and a right place to do it, I have no problem with it. Especially, it's like Ryland's in high school now. He's 12. He's in year 7. He's in high school. He's in big school. He comes back and he tells me words that he's saying to his mates that I've never even fucking. I have to Google it to find out what the fuck that word is. Like, they're being exposed at the and anybody under the age of 11, I don't think is listening to this podcast anyway. And when you talk about young people listening,
I don't mind this podcast. I mean, this podcast comes.
Yeah, sorry, even the YouTube channel. When you talk about young people watching the YouTube channel, I don't think they're that. I don't think they're under 11. I think they're kind of.
My demographic is like higher than that. I know what you mean. I just felt like. I felt like if I see that guy, because he's a really nice guy, I felt like if I saw him and then suddenly I was there going, oh, fuck this, fuck that, and he's there and he's got his earmuffs over his kids. I don't know. Is this me having a conscience?
I was at the warehouse. I was at my warehouse the other day, and I was rehearsing with Ryland. It was after school, and he's putting this illusion show together. So I was rehearsing with Ryland and Thea, and he was doing this new illusion, and we were practicing it outside. So we had it all outside, and I had the speaker on, and one of my entertainers for kids entertainers came in and was watching, and they were watching Ryland rehearse this illusion. And afterwards, I cut the music off, and I went, Ryland, that was complete shit. And he turned around and he went, fuck off. And I was like, no, mate, it is. It's complete shit. Do it again. And she turned around to me and she said, she's like, was he swearing? And I was like, yeah, he's allowed to swear. Yeah, I swear at him. He can swear at me. I mean, there's a right time, right place. I don't want him swearing in front of his teachers.
It's about, it's such a strange one, because in our world, at least, we're not in the corporate world. I mean, you are in a sense, but you're not in corporate office meetings for billion-dollar deals with Apple execs and things like this. It's the entertainment industry, and whether people like it or not, like, this is how the world acts. And I've always found, and this is just a personal thing, and potentially cultural location thing, but it's almost like it's a two-way street, and in some way, it's a form of respect, and it's a terms of endearment too. I'd always find, like, if you speak to someone, it's a professional speak, and we just talk like this, then there's a barrier, or then we understand what the context of the conversation is. If you talk to someone and then suddenly they go, oh, I've had a fucking shit of a day, sometimes you go, oh, okay, this guy's on my wavelength, or okay, this conversation is a bit more open now. We can speak a bit more freely. And I've always found, like even when you read the book, like How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's whenever the people who get the furthest in life are not always the people who are the best at the job. It's the people who are the best at communication, and the people who are the best at building up bonds with people. And I feel for myself, I've gotten quite far in life, and I'm in my own bubble, I'm as successful as I want to be. And that none of that has ever come from being professional and speaking to somebody like I wouldn't speak to them, aside from on YouTube where I think there are kids watching. That's just a personal choice. But if it comes to, I remember meeting Roger from Phantasma Magic, who is an exceptionally successful guy. Now, people just think of him from Phantasma, but he has the rights to all the Rubik's Cube magic in the world. He has the rights to Disney magic. Like, he is a huge player behind the scenes. first time I remember when people saying to me like, "Oh, this is Roger Phantasma. You know, he's a pretty big deal, multi-millionaire, massively successful, blah blah blah." First time I met him, he's like, "Oh, Lloyd, you big fucking Welsh bastard, come here. I've heard so much about you." And it was like, that's how the big dog. I know not all of them, but
No, but a lot of
how-
situations, yeah. I've got into corporates where I'm all, especially when I'm doing a corporate event and I have to go and, hello, nice to meet you. I'm Craig. Yes, we spoke on the phone. Yes, I'm so glad to be performing at your event. Yeah, you have to mind your P's and Q's. But most of the time, when business gets done, it's in a room where people are kind of being themselves. Because people in business, people buy from people that they get on with, you know.
and it's almost like the assistant to the area manager speaks with the business talk, and then you speak to the owner of the company, and they're like, "How the fuck are you, man? How's life? Sit down." But if I've always found that I'm always real with people. I try to be real with people in my daily life, and that just means like not censoring myself and speaking normally.
Yeah.
This is such a bullshit conversation, by the way, for the Magic Podcast. What are we talking about?
We're talking about, I don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about, I don't
Swearing.
know.
We're trying to condone our vile language.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, we
like
are.
a pair of sad cunts.
Oh dear, mate. Well, yes.
I mean, a question is then, right, based off that, is when you perform at a gig, not a kid's gig, obviously, but you're going to do a wedding. Do you speak as you are now, or do you speak with entertainers persona on? Like, what do you do?
read the room. I read the room, and I think that's the most important thing that you have to do when you're at a gig, which is reading the room. So, for example, if I'm going to be going to a military base, I'm going to be doing a very different style of magic and a very different style of presenting magic than I would do if I'm at a wedding. Now, even at a wedding, I'm very sarcastic. Like, that's just my style. You've seen me perform enough times to know that I just take the piss, and that's kind of my thing. But it gets dialed up when I'm at an event where I think it's appropriate, and I'm very good at knowing when it's appropriate. And sometimes it varies from table to table. I can be at a wedding and I can go over to a group and it's like a bunch of like 20-year-olds, and you immediately have, "All right, mate, I go, what, can you make yourself fucking disappear?" And it's like, well, you know, that way, if you don't want to get eaten alive, you're going to take a different
get down to their level.
Exactly.
Or come up to their level for you.
It's funny because it's true. But yeah, I think it's really important to kind of read the room. I had this discussion with somebody the other day. They said it was disgusting that Murphy's Magic had released the sponge ding dong, and there's no place for that in this world anymore. And I was like, well, actually,
I think of at least one place to put a sponge ding dong.
well, I was
in this world.
And I was like, I'm telling you right now, I've got a hen party next week, and that I could do the most elegant Danny D. Ortiz card routine that you'll ever see. Or I can make a sponge ding dong appear in the hen's hand, and that will go a million times better.
I will give you two examples here to prove, yeah, exactly what you're saying, right? To prove whoever said that there's no place for a sponge ding dong type of thing, that only says they are inexperienced and they literally don't know what they're talking about. I remember years and years and years ago, when I was a bit more wet behind the ears, going to shoot with Dave Bonsall at Prop Dog. And we went, do you remember he had the guy called, was it Dan that used to work for him?
Yes.
The salesman, Dan something. That's my fucking dog. We went to shoot Ring Flight Revolution. Is that what it was called? His Ring Flight, which is the best on the market.
Yeah.
Or has been for years. And we went into, I think it was Canary Wharf, the banking sector of London.
Yeah, Canary Wharf is the banking sector.
And there was all restaurants and bars there. And he said, right, we're going to go get some live reactions. And Dan was going to, did the first tables. And I thought, oh, fuck, here we go. And don't forget, now this is like 10 years ago. I'm behind the camera, Canary Wharf, everyone's in fucking suits and ties. And I was like, oh, all right. So, you know, let's just get amongst it. I had to wait around to get permission to go into this fancy bar. And I was like, what are you going to open up with, Dan? He said, I'll just watch this. Just film. Filmed, went to this table of 15 women, all in executive clothes. So they're all wearing power suits, like power pants, like trousers, and straight business. And I was like, shit, I am a fish out of water here, because I was wearing like baggy jeans and a scruffy fucking t-shirt and just a, you know, just a fucking dickhead. And Dan was in a three-piece suit as well. He knew where we were going. He went up to the table and he had this lady select a card. and she selected the card, showed it to her friends, but didn't look at it herself. And he described some of the things about her and stuff. And then when she looked at the card she'd chosen, it said, "I love cock." And it blew the roof off. And from that moment, he was a celebrity. And if he had said to me, "I'm going to show those women," who were like, they weren't young girls either. They weren't like, there's certain tricks you think, oh, like a group of lads, you get away with that. But a group of women who are seemingly around like 50 to 60 age range, which has no bearing, but I always tend to think I speak to my elders with a bit more respect. I wouldn't go straight in with a cock joke to it for some reason. It's not ageist, but you'd assume you wouldn't, right? A group of like 15 women who were like in their 50s, mid 60s, all wearing power suits. To me, I would have gone up and I definitely wouldn't have started swearing personally. And I would have been a lot more. Anyway, he fucking cold open. If he'd said, "I'm going to perform the I Love Cock deck as my opener," I would have said, "Dan, respectfully, I don't even feel comfortable with you doing that." I wouldn't have. And yeah, but when he did it, oh my God, it was one of the biggest reactions I've ever seen. They were in hysterics. And then the same thing with Ben Williams. He went on stage with Jason, is it Jeff Akuri, the comedian?
Yeah.
And I know this is a completely different environment with his words, but this guy said, "What do you do for a living?" Ben said, "I'm a magician." Come up on stage. Ben said, "Pick a card, don't look at it, blah, blah, blah." Revealed it, and it said, "I love cock." And it like, again, that's a comedian's environment where blue jokes can go down very, very well. But guaranteed the I Love Cock deck probably went off and sold another 1,000 units for it.
Exactly.
To say there's no marketplace for tricks like that, like sponge ding dongs and sponge and I Love Cock decks and things. Not that I would do them. Not that I would do them. It's not my type of thing. It's just that's comedy, not magic. But absolutely, not only is there a place for it, potentially like in the situation, like I don't think Ben could have picked a better trick for that environment.
No.
And I don't think that Dan could have opened with a better trick. For some reason, that trick absolutely won him favor like you wouldn't believe. And then they were eating up the palm of his hand when he was doing the stuff we needed for the trailer.
I think you need to believe in it. You need to believe in that trick, because if you don't believe in it, it's not going to get the reactions you want. If you're just almost apologetic with it, you got to go all in. You got to go balls deep on that thing. It's just got to be.
Oh hell yeah, right down to like the root of it.
Exactly.
And I get it, right? Because I think Kieran Johnson always says to me, like, anyone you can get naked to get a big reaction. Like any trick can get a good reaction. It's about like how you perform it, and I think that's what you're saying there. It's about you have to be in the trick. Anyone can do I Love Cock trick, or anyone can do sponge ding dong, but you've got to perform it. You've got to do it justice.
Yeah.
You've got to grip that veiny, throbbing milk beast. And
yes.
For us, everyone, tinyurl.com/TMP 2025.
Vote for the Magic Podcast.
Yeah,
let's catch up on the
25.
Let's catch up on the last 6 months of shit that we've missed. Stuff that's been going on.
I had a second baby.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, actually, congratulations. How is it? Because I know it was. I hope you don't mind me saying there were a few complications.
Oh, a little cunt nearly died.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a quite a big complication, really. To be honest, I mean, that's terrifying. As
yeah, it was fucking shit.
That's fucking terrifying. Like I remember. I mean, I want you to talk it through, because I remember when Ryland was born, I was supposed to be. Sarah's going to have a C-section, and I was going to be going in, and they were like, "Go in this room and get your gowns on." So I got my gowns on, and they were like, "Right, okay, we're going to take you into the room now." And then I heard everybody running around like fucking crazy, and then somebody came out and took me into another room and said, "Stay there." And I was like, "What's going on?" "Just stay there." And I was just in this room that for what felt like forever. And it was realistically about 2 minutes, but it felt like forever. And I was like going, "Oh my God, what's happened? What's happened?" And then they brought Ryland, newborn baby, out, which I knew wasn't meant to come out straight. They were like, here's your baby. How's my wife?" Yeah. And then it was like about another 5 minutes before, they had to do an emergency cut. I don't know what went on, but that 5 minutes, it was only 5 minutes in total. I was just like, "Oh my God, I'm going to be on my own. I'm going to have a raise a kid on my own. Oh my God, this is the most scariest thing that I've ever."
Frantically Googling like orphan hostels, postal schools to raise a child in.
But that pales compared to what you went through. Like, it was, terrifying.
But yeah, he was born, And he came out and he was crying. Good. It was a C-section. And then after about 10 minutes, because Kaylee was a trained midwife years ago, she delivered like 80 babies. She was like, oh, there's something not right with the baby. And he stopped. He was breathing, but it was called a grunting sound. He's like, he was struggling to breathe and his feet went blue. And none of the midwives caught it, but she was like, look at this. And then got them to look at him. And anyway, the next thing, within like 5 minutes, he had an oxygen mask. He was on like this special table. He had an oxygen mask on him. They were like sort of trying to keep him breathing. And then, yeah, it turns out. So anyway, he was in intensive care. Went down to an intensive care, and he was born with an infection on his lung and sepsis. Yeah, I know. So we had to go through all that, and he had like all the tubes, feeding tubes and breathing tubes and everything. And it was just shit. It was because, you know, we just wanted to all be home and be together, but baby's health was number one priority. But he was in there a week. It was only a week, which some people I know are in for months. I was speaking to one person, and they were saying like they were in there for 4 months. Their baby was born at £1.25, and you know, 1 week was hell on earth. So I'm not even like complaining comparatively. It was just shit. And so then, but he's fine now, absolutely fine. And he dropped 14% of his birth weight, so that was like another concern. But yeah, so all that happened anyway. But life's good now. He's healthy. We've got 2 kids, which is crazy. And I've sort of, hence why the Magic podcast hasn't been recorded for a little bit, because I've just been fully focusing on juggling that scenario. Mum's doing good.
And obviously,
but
and the surface and everything else, your YouTube channel, everything else that's going on, you're a busy boy.
Yeah, well, I've only posted like a handful of videos. I've been posting more on Patreon, my Patreon stuff, than anything. Some cool shit going on there. But yeah, so that's my life in a nutshell for the last few months. I'm trying to think if anything else has been going on. Not really. I've just thrown myself at this. I've been renovating the house, and that phone call I had.
Yeah. Well, the new YouTube channel was good with you and Kaylee. That was great.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, so we're living in the new house, which we were also renovating while she was pregnant as well. That phone call that I just took was for a crane company to come and collect the shipping container tomorrow morning at the bottom end of the garden, because I'm building a new studio, which is going to be fucking huge, and it's going to be sick. So I got 5 months to build it, because in 5 months' time, the baby comes in here, just in this room to sleep, which is my current studio. So yeah, the build starts next weekend probably.
Damn, man.
It's gonna be 7.5 by 5 meters big, I think.
Wow, that's huge. That's great.
Sick. So what about you? What have I missed since?
We released the Atomic Deck. It sold out in a week. I went to war with several members of the Magic community. I quit. I moved to America for a couple of weeks. I came back. I started the channel again, and I'm still my normal, annoying, brash self.
Still got a head shaped like a bollock. Yeah, but that was the whole thing. So like, yeah, because it was like this, all the crazy drama with the. I'm so glad that everything's been squashed now.
Yeah,
with David, and that interview with you and him was super cool to see you guys. I'm sorry I couldn't be a part of it.
Well,
that was
when we did that interview, your baby was literally in intensive care. It was like, yeah, it was impossible for you to do anything or but I'm glad that David and I and you have just put everything to rest and moved.
I did. It was like 4 days after Tom, whilst the baby was in intensive care, I think on like day 4 or 3. I did send David an email, and he replied to me, just sort of like saying, hey, I'm glad we can all sort of come to an agreement and bury the hatchet, and you know, hopefully we could hang out and jam in the future. And so I did manage to like fire off an email. He did get back to me as well, but I kind of would have loved to have been on that call and just had a laugh with you guys, but I just literally couldn't be.
I will say that I still think that the Atomic Deck is one of the best things that I've ever done. Right, I was at the Crisscross convention, the Wizards Weekender, last week. Ryan was on the gala show. I was doing a lecture, and in my lecture, I had the Atomic Deck, and I was like, "Has anybody here seen the Atomic Deck?" And like one person put their hand up, and I was like, "I'm amazed that nobody here has seen it." Okay, I'll do it, and I did the Atomic Deck, and I kind of talked through how it worked, the basic principle, And like so many people came over and bought it and went, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And Graham Shaw was there from Magic Box, and he said, "I still don't understand how this deck works. For me, it's real magic because I can put it down in front of me. I can just think of a card, think of a value, and it's there every single time. It doesn't make any sense." He's like, "I think it's the best thing that you've ever been a part of." And
I,
that
I,
was
fu- I
very,
fully agree. For me, it was never the atomic deck was never a product. So I'm sneezing behind the scenes here. So I got like I'm trying to mute the camera every time I'm doing it. I'm about to sneeze, Craig. Talk.
so Lloyd is now going to give us his thoughts on the atomic deck.
I've finished sneezing. Yeah, for me, the atomic deck was never ever a product. It was always the trying to push the limits or discover what could be done. How close to the perfect any card, any number can we get? Can we get? It's an ongoing discovery still, and the fact that it could be a product was a fantastic byproduct of what the effect is and does. But ultimately, yeah, to me, it's like, some people think of like products as like, oh, that was a great product that came out 6 months ago or a year ago or 2 weeks ago. To me, the atomic deck is still, as far as I'm concerned, the best advancement in ACAN technology.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do an any card, well, there is no best ACAN. It's always the best ACAN for you in a situation. And if I'm looking to do, like, for example, if I'm handed a deck of cards borrowed, I'm not doing the atomic deck.
Oh.
If I'm going to do a really important performance and I know I've got time to bring stuff with me, or I'm going to perform to people that have seen me do magic before and I really want to fool them, I'm going to bring an atomic deck. If I'm in a situation where I've got 2 minutes, then I'm going to stack a deck and I'm going to use something akin to As He Wins ACAN or something of my own. It's not about the best black and white ACAN, it's about the best for the situation. With that being said, the atomic deck isn't in my head, oh, a really good, well, an amazing product we put out 2 or 3 months ago. To me, this is as far as we've pushed it currently, and it's still the most red hot creation in my repertoire.
Yeah.
You know?
And the Facebook group where everyone's talking about it, like everybody is constantly going on about how they're performing it and how they're using it. And I don't want this to be about the atomic deck, but I'm super proud. And it got derailed a little bit with a couple of reviews and and things that were said and things that happened. But I think that looking back and all the dust is cleared now, and I know so many people are using it. I don't think they got what we were trying to achieve with the atomic deck. I don't think that.
No, I think a big part of it is that any card, any numbers are a lot of people in Magic are not creators. So like me and you tend to explore a lot of different ideas for a lot of different plots, where some people fall in love with 1 or 2 plots and they will put their all into it. Which is amazing because you end up getting incredible creations from them because they spend so much time and energy on it. But they also fall in love with their work, rightly so, because they know how good it is for themselves. But then it's like we're all animals at the end of the day, and we all have some sort of competitive nature to us, whether we like it or not, especially when you're passionate about something. So that I think when someone comes out like me and you what we're like, man, we speak with a lot of hyperbole and we get like quite everything. And I say this all the time, everything for me and you, whatever idea we're working on that day is the best idea in the world. And I think by next week, the next idea is the best idea in the world because we're so if we don't have that passion, we don't get excited enough to pursue the project to the end or the idea to the end, right? It's just I think it's a blessing and a curse. But then when someone comes along and says, like in our case, we have the best ACAN ever, because I mean, to me, it is for what it is. It's the best gimmick deck ACAN ever. And then somebody else goes, well, actually, the one that I've created is the best. Then you get 2 people at loggerheads because both of us believe in the same thing and both of us are right.
Yep.
And I don't mean like, I'm not talking about David from ISU. I mean like everyone else that stepped into the conversation as well has said like, no, I think like As He Wins the best ACAN. All this is because they're so passionate about the same damn thing. And it makes sense.
And there's no right or wrong.
No.
Magic's subjective. It really is. I do stuff that I know people hate, but likewise, I hate stuff that I know people do, and it's just magic. If everyone was doing the same thing, well, then we'd all be doing double cross because that's the trick that every fucker does.
I think it's
I'm
such a
sick
good.
of going to gigs and having people. I say to people, hold a hand out, and they go, "Is there going to be a black X appear on it?" I'm like, "No, I don't do that fucking trick." Just
I
hold
made
it.
a point in my Blackpool lecture, which was I got this bill change where you take I use a Woolworths voucher and I fold it in half so you can see the front and the back at the same time. And you shake it or wave it or whatever you want to do, and it becomes a £20 note, and you can show it front and back again. And it's a one bill change. The bill can't be examined. You have to switch it out at the end. Super, super, super visual. But the reason that I show it is because it's mine. There's no other bill change like it. And the point that I make it's one of the opening effects of my lecture, is I say that my biggest artistic integral fear is performing a piece of magic and having someone say, "Oh, I love it. I loved it when I saw Dynamo do that trick. Oh, I saw that on Instagram. It was so cool to see someone else doing it in real life." Because magic inherently should, and I can go on a long talk about this, but it should, for me, the way that I perceive magic, the way that I think magic should be represented, like, it should feel organic and spontaneous and unrehearsed.
Yeah.
And if you want to do a bill change, then the Hundy 500 or Extreme Burn or Pat Pay is Fast Cash, the same, like that same ballpark of bill changes that with the T gimmick. It's fucking phenomenal. It's so good. It's bad because everyone does it.
Yeah.
And the moment you do a bill change that they've already seen somebody else do, and let's be honest, that really, apart from the $100 bill switch, that pretty much is the only bill change that other people see.
Yeah.
Then I'd rather do my own bill change, which isn't, I prefer it because it's mine and I'm biased, but objectively it's potentially not as good as Extreme Burn. But in my eyes, it's better because no one's going to see anyone else fucking doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
And the same with double cross. It's why I invented Lux. Is one of the big reasons I came up with Lux, because you ain't gonna see. I mean, now that so many people have it, but you ain't gonna see anyone else doing it.
Nope. I love Lux. I absolutely love Lux. If you know, I've gone on record as saying how much I love it. I do that instead of double cross.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite creation of all time, bar none.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's just killer. It really is. It's so smart. It's so smart.
But I'm not talking about my products. All I'm saying is like, we were about tricks that we love and people get passionate over. And then I went off on a tangent and started becoming arrogant and egotistical. So,
no, please show your true self. Let's do this.
There's so much to be said, I think, on going off on that tangent about performing your own material, or at least performing material your own way.
Yeah. Well, in my my book that came out at Blackpool, Absolute Madness, I had an entire essay on making a trick your own. And I think that's such an important thing to do. Even if you don't consider yourself a creator, you should still try to look at a trick and go, well, okay, this is how they do it. How can I make it my own? What can I change? Can I change the presentation? Can I change the way it's performed? Can I change the handling? Can I change what can I change about it to make that trick truly unique to me? The amount of times that I see people do the same tricks over and over again, it happens a lot in close-up, especially over here in the UK. I can almost predict that most close-up magicians, they're going to have an Omni deck with them, they're going to have Extreme Burn with them, they're going to have Double Cross with them, they're going to do an ambitious card. I just like to try and change things up an awful lot.
Yeah, it's such an important thing to do, just not also to make it your own, but also to keep you sharp. I think as well, if you keep implementing new ideas and new presentations, I think that's why you're like a savant when it comes to like this encyclopedic knowledge of tricks and effects and performances. The strangest thing with you is that I don't know anybody else in the whole world that can take a trick like off a shelf and just perform it exactly as it was taught on the tutorial to you 10 years ago. Like, so it's unbelievable to watch sometimes. It's kind of, You do the same thing with scripts as well. I remember like I wrote a script for you for the Atomic Deck trailer, and I held the script up on my phone to the camera. You read it once, and then it was like a 6-minute script. And obviously it was there 6 minutes to be cut down to like 90 seconds of talking. 3 times in a row, you performed that script to the camera as if you've been practicing it for 6 months. It's just a weird thing with you.
I attribute that to the Wizard product review. Like, you got to remember when me and Dave Pound did the Wizard product review, there were no real other review shows at the time. We were the only YouTube review show. And because I was in front of a camera every single week, and those shows were like 30, 40 minutes long, I just got quite good at almost like, taking information and retaining it and then delivering it in a fairly succinct way, or at least, I don't know. I think it was...
Until you got cancelled.
Until we got cancelled. Fuck you, Wayne Dobson. You screwed my career. Oh, dear me. I was going to say, just joking, I love you, Wayne, but he doesn't listen to this shit, so it's fine.
He does, that's the problem. This is what fucking terrifies me. You have gods of magic, literally like Wayne Dobson and the other people. I don't like to say who listens because...
I remember when Max Maven told me he listened before he passed away.
That's got to be complete bullshit.
It's not bullshit. And you were just like mortified.
Yeah, that was, I remember that. I'll remember that moment for the rest of my life because that was one of the first moments I really felt like quitting the podcast for good. Genuinely, I was thinking like, these people are heroes. Like my heroes are magicians. Not A-list celebrities or that dude who walked around his garden loads. Like my heroes are magicians. Oh, you know what I mean? Like people I idolize, and to think that they are listening to this absolute fucking pile of shit.
Well, it was shortly after Max Maven, I found out Max Maven listened to the podcast, that you started the Black Arts podcast. I think it was your midlife content creator, a crisis where you were trying to prove that you had an outlet where you could actually be.
I think the thing with the Black Art one was like these podcasts initially started off me and you chatting about, well, before the podcast, it was me and you talking about ideas and tricks and creations. And then you said like, oh, Lloyd, let's start a podcast where we could talk about everything we do on the phone. And I was like, great. And then we ended up just talking shit about everyone. I was like, hold on, I wanted to do something positive for the community. And now they fucking hate us. Or they don't. And they listen to us, which I think is worse.
Yeah.
I genuinely think it's worse.
Remember when Rick Lax went completely mental?
And told us we needed to start talking about fucking kids or something.
Yeah, he told us we needed to talk about the serious issues in magic, like paedophilia.
Yeah. Because we were saying that him exposing Mr. Danger was a cunty thing to do. Not that he is a cunt, it was a cunty thing to do, which is a big difference. Especially,
there is. I have done cunty things in the past. Many.
Me too. I also am a cunt.
Yeah, that's true.
But what we said was what he did was cuntish, which is not calling him one, saying he did a cunty thing. Then he sent us a bunch of barrages of voice notes. I didn't even open mine, I just delete the messages, but you opened yours, and he was like, "You guys need
an hour of messages, one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. It was borderline insane."
But saying that we need to
and then he came up to me at the
child pedophilia or something. Like, dude,
and then he came over to me.
I don't. That's not what I want to spend my time talking about.
And then he came over to me at the Penguin booth at Magic Live and started having a pop at me. Why are you making content about me? Stop making content about me. I'm like, Rick, fuck off. I'm working. It's
so strange though when my YouTube channel is directed at magicians. There's the crossover stuff which is sort of applicable to people who are beginners in magic, but very, very rare. Most of the stuff that I teach on my channel is it's boring. Like it has a nice visual, but then you actually start to watch it and it's boring, arduous, like cut and crafting, and or some of them are like hour-long videos on routines and really boring shit. Your channel is dedicated to magicians. It's a lot of heavy content, not heavy, but a lot of like magic reviews and things that like just don't interest the average Joe. When you make content directed to the public and it gets tens of millions of views, you can't also get pissed off that people are discussing that content.
No.
especially within the industry that content is garnered from.
Yep.
It's a bizarre mindset to have. It's just really fragile.
Talking about weird content creators and things that happened while we had our little break, what do you think about Jabreesy? Do you know about that whole scenario?
Oh man, I'm so torn.
Can I, because I know on this
one side of the
podcast,
equation on this.
we've had conversations before, and I've always said to you, Jabreesy comes across as a bit of a weird motherfucker, and you've always told me the story about meeting him in Cardiff and going out for a meal with him.
Super nice guy.
Such a humble guy, and you showed me a different side that I've obviously never seen. But this is a guy that's just basically spent weeks faking his own death and is now trying to convince people he's a born again Jesus Christ 2.0. Like,
yeah. In a nutshell, I met Jabreesy in Cardiff years ago. When he made all that content saying that he was the best magician in the world, and people were like, is he fucking for real? Has he even heard of the name Tamariz and stuff? I met him, and I was like, what's the fucking deal, man? And he was like, I know I'm not the best magician in the world. He's like, I know that. He's like, but my idols are like Muhammad Ali, Kanye West, back then, before the crazy shit. Michael Jordan. He said the one thing they all have in common is that before they were known as the greatest in their industry, they told everyone they were the greatest, because if they didn't believe it themselves, then how the fuck could they ever achieve it? And I was like, he's like, so I know I'm not very good. I know I'm not the best. Probably never will be the best. But if I don't believe it and start projecting it, I have no hope. And I was like, fair play. That's a really self-aware and passionate thing to say, right? And then we were in Zizi's pizza restaurant, Cardiff Bay. It was a Monday night. He'd been flown over to do a 10-minute segment for the BBC. He started performing at the restaurant because someone had recognized him from Penn and Teller. He had I'm not joking, the entire restaurant, close to like 100 people, surrounding him in a circle. And to this day, one of the best performers I've ever seen live, on the spot, no preparation. And I was like, fucking hell, I actually, A, this guy's self-aware, B, he was a complete sweetheart. He does so much for charity that people just do not know. He comes from Chicago, the murder capital of the US. He doesn't believe he was going to make it to 30. This is speaking in hindsight now. And so all the money he was making was being sent to his mum and to charity. The only reason he was making money, he proved it, right? So I was like, fucking hell, this guy, he's nice, he's self-aware, bit controversial, which is the only thing I could find wrong with him at the time. And he was doing it all for a good cause. Plus, he was the real fucking deal. He was amazing. I'll stand by this to my deathbed. He was phenomenal. He wasn't just a good performer, he was a phenomenal performer, right? But I think his biggest issue is that he's doing like kind of what I see it in a way, like he's trying to do like what Houdini and other people have done, where they make a big public display, a big bonanza, a big event to generate publicity. But I think he's picking the wrong shit to do. Like the whole getting into arguments to say he was the greatest magician in the world. He probably could have done a different spiel. He could have gone for a different angle. And faking your own death, I just think it's a bit tasteless. Like there are people who are actually going through shit like that. Coming from Chicago, where people are being killed for real and on deathbeds, or family not knowing if someone's going to wake up or not. Super, super tasteless. I don't know if he's changed as a person since I met him. He was young. But yeah, like I still give him the benefit of the doubt, because I judge people on what I know of them from meeting them, not by their online personas. I just think it was a tasteless campaign that backfired for him.
I think he's probably got to a point where he's regretting it now.
Do you think? I don't know. I haven't seen the latest actually.
Actually, I haven't, since a couple of weeks ago. I haven't gone on and checked. Jabreesy. Here we go. Oh, all on his Instagram, everything's been taken down. No posts.
Oh yeah, it's completely gone.
Yeah.
Oh no, is he Jabreesy's though?
No, he was posting on Jabreesy. That was where he was posting all of this crazy stuff.
Oh, look, here we go. So he says he's streaming on. I'm streaming for my safety on Twitch at Jabreesy, and then he's posted this.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying like, I don't want to have kids because I can't afford them.
Oh,
And
he's talking about like general life stuff now. He's just, I don't know. He's kind of like gone off. It seems like he's doing stuff with music and Jesus now. I don't know, man. I think, and this is not a dig at him. He's someone that's looking for success, maybe it feels like, in any way that he can. And if he thinks like this is what he needs to do, then so be it. I don't know, man.
Yeah. He'll find his own path.
Yeah.
You want to talk about magic tricks?
Yeah.
Have you got? Look, can we say anything about Titanus and what he's got coming out that you just showed us? Because that's coming out in a couple of weeks. I know we probably can't say the name, but I got to say, you know, we always
I
drop.
heard you say the name when I was on that phone call.
No, I'm not
I
on
left
about.
you for
I'm not on
fucking 2
about.
seconds.
I'm not on
We're
about
having a really
this.
good
I'm on about.
conversation about.
I'm on about this. Titanus's trick.
Oh no! Well, no, I wouldn't, because it's not our trick.
No, but what I do want to say is I've just been shown something very, very cool by Titanus that's coming out through Murphy Studio in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
A new electronic product.
A new electronic product by Titanus. And I watched the trailer and I had no idea how it worked. I knew how it should work, but it didn't seem to work that way. It was very, very, very good. Very.
Yeah. I'm lucky enough. I've known about it for years now. It's one of those things. How can I divulge it without? It's one of those things that you can just add in to almost anything you do.
Yeah, you can. Literally anything.
In a really fooling and clean manner.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because I know me and my big fucking mouth. I will slip up and I will end up saying exactly what it is.
Yeah. So what is coming out? Have you got any tricks that you know of that's coming out in the near future?
Well, before we get into new products or future products, what are the products I mean, wasn't this kind of the big part of the magic? It's been so long, I don't even remember the format. Didn't we spend a long time talking about new products that were out?
Yeah, that's what I mean. New products that have just come out. That's typically what we do. We have a look at anything that's come out recently. Yeah. Do you want to talk about? I can read some out for you, and you can tell me if you've seen it.
Okay.
Well, I tell you what.
Actually, I think
so excited. Yeah. Well, look. I'm looking at Penguin's new arrivals, and I tell you something that's just been advertised. Is Henry Harriet? It came out of Blackpool, but it's just kind of making a big release. Henry Harriet and Tobias Tostel teaming up to do Optrix 2.0 or extended Optrix or something. Do you know much about that? Because I know you're a big fan of Tobias, and I know that you were with the company that released the original Optrix at the time that you got.
So funny story about the original Optrix was because Tobias first sent it to me. And I didn't like the idea because the first video he sent me, I thought it was stooged.
No way.
It was genuinely stooged. Yeah, it was such a perfect performance that I thought it was in like a bar. I thought it was stooged, so I didn't really give it. I was like, oh, cool, but like, eh. And then I spoke to him like a week later or something, and he'd said something in the message like, and that made me realize that she wasn't stooged. I can't remember what it was, but for some reason, I don't know if it was the communication with the language barrier breakdown, but it wasn't until like a week later that I actually found out that it wasn't stooged. And that's when I was like, oh my God, this might be the best trick ever.
Yeah. And the new version, have you seen the new version? Because it's an even better version of the original.
I remember that the last version, I didn't have anything to do with the manufacturing process or the development of the last version. But I remember seeing it and thinking, oh, it could be better. Like it kind of had a handmade feel to it. But the new version is like a product. It's like an actual, really well made, and it's got advancements to it as well. So you can end with your hands totally clean.
Incredible.
Pretty much the only changes it needed, and now it's phenomenal.
I would say it's one of the best tricks to come out ever. Like, it's just, it's got that moment that you don't see in many tricks where it's almost like a, you know, I mean, it's almost like Sixth Sense, isn't it? Like, where there's a piece of information that's given to you at the end of the trick that changes literally everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those tricks that I would almost give my soul away for, to have to experience it myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would do anything to experience that trick for the first time without knowing anything about magic, because it would be one of the, like, you know, you could start a fucking cult with something like that.
So here's a question tied into what you said before about people making the tricks their own. And if you accept that most working magicians do the same tricks, ambitious cards, sponge balls, whatever the case may be, here's a trick that's actually very practical. It is a practical trick, you know, it's within the range of anybody. And it is by far the most incredible experience. If people are watching this and don't know what the effect is that you borrow somebody's phone, you hold it at the tips of your fingers, and you say you're going to make it vanish, and you give them you give them your phone so they can film it, and you're holding their phone here, and they just see it vanish at the fingertips with your hands completely empty, and you say, I'm going to bring it back, and you walk towards the camera that they're filming it on, and then they realize they were actually filming on their phone, and your phone that they've been holding since before you vanished their phone is actually, and it's that moment that just completely changes everything, and they're left with a video of their phone vanishing while they're holding on to it. That it's the perfect trick. It's no table required. You can do it on stage. You can do it close up. It's an instant reset. At the end, everything's examinable. You're using a borrowed item. There's a moment in there that just completely fucks with people's heads. It's not even that difficult to do. So why are we not seeing that as the trick that everyone does? What is it that makes a trick like universally popular? What is it that separates a double cross and an omni deck and a sponge ball from something like op tricks? Now, I know it's sold well, but I would be willing to bet that a lot of people buy it and they put it in their bottom drawer and they don't use it. I've never been.
I think I know.
I want to know. I genuinely don't know.
I think it's two small reasons.
Okay.
I think it's not tiny. It is tiny, but it's not as small as a Sharpie or a key, because magicians love tiny. The smaller and more convenient it is to carry, the better. And because you need to have potentially a shirt on or a coat on to do it, it means that it has to take an extra minute of prep or an extra effort. And there is a modicum of skill required, more so than just your average easy to do trick. And it sounds ridiculous, but those increments, those 0.5% increments, change it from being the most performed trick of all time. You know, this changes all tricks from being like the most performed trick of all time. And I know double cross has an element of skill, but it's so minute, and it also is so small as a gimmick / item that it offsets the tiny amount of skill required to do it. Same as, like, I think Scotch and whiskey is one of the best tricks of the last 10 years. 0 skill required, 0 pocket space, or, you know, I mean, like, absolutely minute pocket space comparatively. And I think that's just tips the scales of things, you know. Quiver wallets are huge sellers because they are, you can use them as your pocket space, and they're multifunctional and easy to do. No skill required, 0 skill required, you know.
So let me follow that up with another question. Do you think, and you see the industry more than most because you work at the Murphy studio, do you think that do you think things have changed in the last decade, 2 decades, 3 decades? Because I see a lot of people that buy tricks and end up not doing them for that very reason. Oh, it's so the perfect example is the atomic deck. So, a lot of people are using it, but you did see a lot of people that go, they literally had it for one day and they were like, oh, I can't deal the doubles perfect every single time. So I'm not going to do it because it's too difficult for me. Or, like people will buy tricks thinking they're going to do it and they don't do it because it's too difficult for them. One of the things that I see all of the time, because I get a lot of questions on my channel because I talk about stuff that's happening in the industry. I see a lot of people going, how easy is it? Is it easy? Can I do it? Like, is it self-working? Is there an easy method? Have we got into a situation, and it didn't feel like that when I first got into Magic. I'm from the Ellen era, and I remember like buying Bill Malone's DVD sets, buying Michael Close's DVD sets, buying David Roth's DVD releases, and you'd buy a set of 4, and I would sit there and I would learn every single trick, and there were some knuckle busters, but I wouldn't, and nobody else at the time did either. I wouldn't go and go one day in, well, I can't do this because I can't do this move, so this trick is trash. But we see that a lot these days. We see people buying a trick and then just saying it's trash. Like, with the Atomic Deck, a perfect example is Sean Devine. I've got no problem with Sean. I think Sean's great. I've actually become a big fan of his channel since the whole Atomic Deck thing. But he put a review up saying this trick's trash, it doesn't work, just because he didn't like the fact that the cards stuck together and he couldn't turn them over. He didn't even watch the tutorial. He just bought the trick, liked the trick because he bought it because he liked your performance of it, and then decided it was trash before he even watched the tutorials. Like, are we in an industry right now, or are we in a situation right now where people are just buying tricks and they're buying it, they're looking at it, deciding it's too difficult, and then not using it? And was that the same 30 years ago, or have things changed recently? Because a lot of marketing campaigns do go, so I've done it, it's self-working, it's easy to do. Just, we purposefully put together a very easy handling of big blind. Javier had that version that didn't even require palming, just because we wanted to make sure that there was an easy approach to it. Penguin constantly tell me when I'm releasing Magic with them, pretend that this is the very first trick that someone's bought. It needs to be accessible. Like, you see less these days of the knuckle busting stuff. It still happens. Danny DOC's releases stuff, people like that. But these days it seems to be all about making it as easy as possible. Or am I just
No,
talking?
you're absolutely right. I mean, it's a generational shift. First of all, the barrier of entry is so much. Magic is so much more accessible now. I mean, I remember that my first thing my granddad ever taught me about Magic. Well, it's the first thing I remember him telling me. It was not sharing the secret. It was practice, 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 practice. Do not show anybody until it's perfect. And I remember, and that was something that really stuck with me, because I wouldn't show. I got a bit obsessed with that whole thing. I wouldn't show anyone anything because I didn't think I could do it perfect, and it stopped me becoming a performer. Really, I think in the long run. But I remember, like, it was the first rule of Magic was to practice, and then you practice. Second rule was practice again. And a lot of this comes from, and a lot of the reason I think that a lot of people don't practice now is because of our attention spans. The attention span of even myself and most generations, I'd say now, is just plummeted through the roof, or down to the floor. Years ago, you would have to learn by going through a process of learning. You'd have to go to the library, go to the bookstore, just research the trick you wanted. Or if you had to order it through Magic by Post, remember that magazine?
Mm-hmm.
You had to wait a week for it to come. Wait a week for it to come, then watch it, then learn it, then do it. Now it's at your fingertips. So because it's not a good thing or a bad thing, it's just the reality of it. So now people who can only have the attention span to watch a YouTube short, even those is too long for some people, they scroll to the next one before it ends. They are now being instantly given the secret to the trick they want to do, or don't know how it works, and with the intention to perform it. They can then learn that secret within 2 minutes of being fooled by the same trick, and then they're expected to practice for 3 weeks before performing it. You know what I mean? Like, even like that, it seems unrealistic for the average person.
Yeah.
And it seems like an unrealistic expectation for the average person. So tricks are being created by and large so that they don't have to practice the trick.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they suffer as a performer and as a magician because they don't learn some of that stuff can only some of these secrets, or the real secrets to magic, lay in the percolation of an effect, in that longevity, in that like time period of which it takes to practice and understand an effect. That's when the secret, the secret isn't that it's got a magnet, whether it's a mirror or black art. Secret is much deeper seated within a lot of these effects. That's why I can't even begin to talk about the amount of times where I'm much more open source with, it's like Penn and Teller. They will show you how their tricks work. Don't fucking matter. They'll still fool you with them because the secret to the trick is much deeper than the method.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of tricks now are coming out, and when they're not easy to do, people will complain. But that's the target audience by and large. There's a much there are 10 times as many magicians now than there's ever been on Earth. Yeah. And that bell curve of magicians runs from, well, I'd say 80% are beginners. 15% are hobbyists, serious hobbyists. 5% are experts, masters. Or maybe less than 0.1% are masters. You know, it's not even a bell curve, it's more like a wave shape, an elongated wave sort of shape. And so the most people that are buying magic are looking for it to be easy, and if it's not easy, then it's not for them. And if you spend money on something thinking it's going to be for you and it ends up not being for you, you're going to complain.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. These days, magic shops will just take back the trick. You know, they'll have a returns policy. And that's different to how it used to be in the day. Back in the day, it was like, you buy the trick, you've learned the secret. If you don't like it, kind of tough. You know,
yeah, 30 years ago,
you.
15 years ago, 10 years ago, secrets were the currency.
Yeah, but these days, I see on the Magic Cafe, people will go, "I'll just buy it. If you don't like it, you can just return it to Vanishing Ink." And it's like, I think that stops people from putting effort in. Because if they buy the trick and they look at it and they go, "This is going to take a little bit of work," or "This is going to take a bit of setup," or "This is going to take a bit of a paper crane moment," as I used to call it, you know, like arts and craft and stuff. I don't want to do that. Boom. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's right to return tricks. The some tricks that are trash. I see them all the time on my channel. But I think that the fact that so many people are so quick to return tricks these days, it just elevates the problem even more.
Well, again, it's the Amazon culture, it's the attention span culture. And also it's such a, I see this as such a strange thing, especially as somebody who's like deeply in this side of the industry. But you hear the term "shitification"? No. Right? It's like the average mass consumption product now, like a Freddo chocolate bar or toys. The quality of most things is going down, whilst the cost of it is going up. I've even noticed this when I'm playing with Thomas's toys now. He's into Transformers and Ninja Turtles. The quality of them are fucking terrible. Loads of them are just breaking as we use them. And I'm so lucky. I have an entire huge attic of my mother's house of toys from 30 years ago. I was really sick as a child, so instead of playing, I used to get toys because I couldn't go out and play football and things. So I have a Aladdin's cave of toys, and the quality of the fucking stuff back then was unbelievable. Some of this stuff is nuclear bomb proof, finer attention to detail. Like, it's amazing. And I'm buying him stuff, new Transformers, and they're literally crumbling, or they're weak and they're breaking. But it's the funny thing is that with magic, that was always, and this is, and I'm going somewhere with this, so just don't use anything here out of context. But it was always understood that when you buy a magic product, these are being made not by big companies that have manufacturing mills and micro machinery that can do these intricate solderings and molding processes. This stuff is mostly handmade. And you'd understand that when you buy a magic, I don't know, like a Sonata igniter for your hand or something, that this was being made by someone by hand in a workshop, and it would take time, and you'd have to allow for something. It wasn't going to be absolutely Apple quality. And the funny thing is now is that like we're mostly everything out in the mass consumption world, at least the general everyday product, is getting worse. Magic, by and large, quality products are getting that much better. They are becoming like manufacturer quality. But if something comes out and it's not absolutely pristine, the allowance for that, and it's a good and a bad thing. Like there's a pro and a con to it. The allowance for that, the tolerance for people, people's tolerance levels are like you get people who can become like Karens and go fucking crazy because you think, hang on, these products are still mostly handmade, by and large.
A little bit like Big Blind, when people kicked up a fuss on the fact that they weren't real poker chips and they were plastic poker chips. And it's like, well, who would have plastic poker chips? Now, when people started, and do you remember when it first came out and nobody had received it yet, they were like, oh, this is not good quality. And people were going in the cafe going, well, this is terrible quality. I'm like, hang on a minute, no one's got it yet, give it a bit. And then when people bought it, everyone was like, well, actually, these are fine. There's no quality issues at all. But it's almost like a lot of the time these days, the community will jump to an assumption, or one person will say something and everyone.
Oh yeah, you get a dog pile. Yeah, well, that's because everyone's voice is as loud or can be as loud as they want it to be now. Whereas before, if you didn't have the product and you didn't have a platform, no, probably the wrong thing to say, but like years ago, you would only trust someone that you knew. Like you'd watch the Wizard product review and you would trust what you and David said because you could physically see that you guys have the product and you've performed it. So you go, right, I trust what they say. Whereas now, like, yeah, I know that there was a post by some random guy in the cafe, I think it was like, the quality sucks on this, blah, blah, blah. And then like 3 days later, he posted, just received mine, actually surprised by the quality. It was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like that, yeah. I'm sure like that was the post that like sent loads of people going, oh shit, another Craig Petty miss or something. And it was like, and then he posted, my apologies, I've just got it, and it's actually really good. He's like, well, what the but that type of comment years ago would have been ignored. Rightfully so.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's interesting how things change. And I think it's really important that producers and creators and people in that side of the industry, we have to be mindful of it. People say to me all the time, why do you go on the Magic Cafe? I'm like, I go on the Magic Cafe because when I bring out, yeah, well, I'm a fucking idiot. That's the main reason. But I go on there in all seriousness because when I bring a trick out, I look at it, and you know this, because when I work for a company like Murphy's, I look at my job as being to help promote that trick. It's not, my job doesn't end when the tutorial is shot. My job actually starts when I'm being told what the release date is. That's when I'm going to be on hand to answer everyone's questions. I'm going to free up my time to make sure that I'm accessible to everybody. I'm going to do everything I can to have myself accessible so that I can promote the product and I can help create a return on investment for the company that produced it. Because, Murphy's have put a risk, they've spent money on producing an item. I look at it as my job that I have to come in and I have to make sure that they get a return on that investment. And that involves going to places like the Magic Cafe. That involves going to places like Magicians Only on Facebook and being there on hand to answer everyone's questions and be, kind of the face of the product. And that's important to me.
Yeah, I think it's really commendable. I personally believe you do it to an unhealthy level because you make yourself so accessible, and it's really good. But like, I just will not. Obviously, I think I'm a lot more accessible than the average person who puts out stuff, But I'm just not as accessible to you. But that's only because I think like I really try and balance my life and what I do at the same time. But it's commendable to do that. There's only so much you can do as well,
Yeah, exactly. And I'm aware of how hard I work, and I will say that there's changes being made this year. And
you are going to die.
There are changes that are being made this year.
Here's a question. You, for the first time since the pandemic, took time off YouTube from your 27 video a week schedule.
Yeah.
How did you find that personally?
It was great knowing like that I didn't have to make a video. I didn't have to, because the problem is when you create as many videos as me and they're all on a schedule, you kind of stress yourself out. It's very difficult to have time off, especially when you have a proper job as well. I'm a performer, I'm a creator. I run businesses. I do an awful lot, and then I'll come in and I'll be like, oh my God, okay. I've got a gig on. I'll come in on a Monday. I'll be like, right, I've got a gig on Tuesday. It's going to take me out all day. I've got a gig on Wednesday. It's going to take me out all day. I've got all these meetings on Thursday. That means I've really only got Friday to film all of the videos for this week coming. I'm like, oh my God. And I've found myself in the past getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I know that a video needs to be put up the following day. And the only time that I can do it is by going down to my little studio at 3 o'clock in the morning and filming something. And it was just so nice to just put my feet up and go, you know what? I don't have to worry about putting another video up. And I ended up taking, I think, 3 weeks off in total. And it was I was planning on taking a lot more time off. I was planning on taking an awful lot more time off. I was planning on taking a few months off, and I didn't for a few different reasons. One of the reasons is I kind of missed it. The second reason is I made the decision that I wasn't going to kill myself coming back to the channel. So in other words, if I don't have a video to go up, I'm just not going to put one up that day, and I'm not going to mention it. And I'm just going to, like this Saturday coming, I currently haven't got a Talk Magic. If I don't do an interview this week, it's not one going to go up. I don't really care that much because I put so much content up. If I miss a day here or there, it doesn't matter. And also a big thing was the whole David, you, me love triangle kind of came to a conclusion, and that was a big cause of my stress, and I think stepping away as well. I made myself very accessible during the whole Atomic Deck thing. Like I was there answering every single question, which meant that when people were being negative, I was jumping to the defense, and I'd say, okay, well, let me answer that question for you. And then they'd jump back in. And I got to a point where I had to step away for a little bit, else I couldn't have dealt with it anymore.
I think it was absolutely the right decision. And I actually think I still think you're posting too much. I think you should go down to, like, if you go into your channel, let's have a look here. You've put up, it's interesting, like, you've put up 4 videos in the last day.
Oh dear me, have I know?
But it's funny. There's a consistency to the videos that work and the videos that don't work, and the videos or perform as well. Then I don't know whether it's that's the right way to put it. But basically, all the tricks where you're just performing a trick to the camera, like Red Hot Killer Prediction or Mini Sub Trunk or Hyper Deck, those barely move the gauge. But anything where it's you giving advice for like an hour or so, or half an hour videos or product reviews, those videos really move the needle. And I don't know, I would imagine that the energy and the planning to put the videos up of you just performing a trick, it's almost as much energy and planning as it takes for you to do those hour-long videos, just to collate and go through and catalog and everything. And if I were you, I would do one of 2 things. And obviously, this is just speaking out loud, but I would either A, take all those tricks that you do as a video that only take, like the Hyper Deck, whatever it is, and put them into 1 video a week. So 10 performances or 20 brand new tricks that you've never seen before. So I think that would amass like a couple of thousand views, and it would overall exponentially perform better, or not do them at all. Because I think you're going to be using half as much energy, and then you'll be getting twice as much reward.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And also, it wouldn't clutter up your channel so much, which is a big one, because it's very hard to navigate your channel.
There is that. No, you're not wrong. And I'm in the middle, as you know, and I'm not going to say anything right now. And the first people that will hear will be the people on the Magic podcast. I am changing things around even more than I have up until this point. And there are going to be changes announced in the next few months that people will like, hopefully. I
think so.
Potentially. Big change. Huge.
Yeah, huge. earth-shattering.
Yeah. Nobody's going to see this coming. So, you know.
I actually think people will be fucking shocked to the core.
Oh, they will.
You've now got a six-pack.
Well, you're the only person I've told about this. And you were like, you're doing what? The fuck are you doing?
Yeah, this is gonna rattle the earth, I think.
Yeah, it definitely will. It definitely will. And
tell me about this, man. You put out a trick with Matthew Wright, one of my favorite creators ever.
yeah.
What is it? Tell me about it, because I've the trailer's hilarious.
It doesn't tell you anything about the trick. No, basically it's a glue stick. There you go. End of. It's the glue stick that Matt developed to create all of his Gaff decks, like Visions and Visions 2.0. So he's got a lot of decks where there's double cards. That's not rough and fluid. It's not rough and smooth. It's not plasti dip. And it's this glue stick that you can use. It's called the Marvelous stick, and it operates very differently to anything else that I've seen before. And obviously it's not the only one of its type. You know, obviously we go back to Anthony Owen and he had glue sticks and so on and so forth, but it's very unique to Matt in terms of the properties behind it. Okay. And the product is in 3 sections. The first section is Matt teaching how this whole thing works and how to apply it. And what's great is you can literally do it on the fly. So you can have one of these in your gig bag and you can get to a gig and you can gaff up a card in like 10 seconds because it dries immediately. Then the second thing that happened, the second section is Matt teaching like 10 different routines. But a lot of the routines that he's teaching are tricks that he's marketed before. So Visions 2.0 came out a couple of years ago, and now he's just teaching how to make that. He had Lawrence Turner's permission to teach the ILC deck, for example. So he teaches how to make and create and perform an ILC deck. And then my section, I teach how to I created, I think, 12 routines. And these 12 routines are how to take one card and gaff it up using the glue stick and put it into the deck that allow you to do really cool things. So I've got a really cool Blizzard type routine. I've got a really cool McDonald's Aces where the McDonald's Aces happens in the hands of the spectators and they're not double face cards, but you get the same effect. I got permission from Mark Mason to teach Stuck Up Monty, which is probably the greatest Monty routine of all time. So I got permission to teach that. And it's basically a huge project on routines that you can do with a glue stick.
Wow. So you said it's got unique properties. Could you tell me, like, is that like a, for example, remember Science Friction was like a one-way property?
Yeah, so it's one way. So you only do one card and it'll stick to any other card in the deck.
Also, you don't need to run 2 cards.
Yes, you can have it locked with 2 cards if you want to. You can,
but you don't need to have it with 2 cards.
No, you don't. No, it's only adhered to 1 card. You can literally give a spectator a card and they won't feel that it's a double at all. You can spin it up in the air, you can catch it. It silently separates, so it locks in place better than plasti dip, better than roughing spray, but it separates silently, easily, and quickly.
Wow.
So that's the first trick that we've got.
That's sick. I need to get hold of one of those.
It's really great. And that's the first one. The second one, well, Matt's sending me a load, so when I do, I'll send you one. The second thing, we've got another trick coming out through Murphy's very soon. They're literally on the boat on the way to Matt at the moment, and it's called Prestige.
What's that?
Matt would probably kill me if I told you, so I'll tell you anyway. Basically, do you remember that old trick from years ago? The metal poker chips, and I think it was called color diffusion or something, where you had a black poker chip and a white poker chip, and they change places, and then eventually they change into 4 different colors.
It's just like donkeys years old, like
as old as the hills. Yeah.
Did Joe Pauper used to make them?
Yes, he was one of the people that made them.
Yeah.
And there was another version called Black and White Surprise, where the black and white chips used to turn into like a checkered pattern. Yeah. Well, me and Matt, at pretty much the same time, which is why we worked together on it, had the idea of taking that whole thing and building it into car key fobs.
Oh, you can't. That's so good.
So you get two car key fobs that are beautiful. They're not that big. You can hang them on your keychain. And the chain that you hang them onto is also the resetting device, which is amazing. But you bring out, which is cool. So you bring out the two you bring out your keys and you just take off these two key fobs. One of them's Honda and one of them's Ford, or you can get different ones, but that you do whatever you want to do. There's multiple routines with it, but at the end they turn into Ferrari and Rolls Royce, and you give them to be examined at the end. So it's the same trick, but built into little metal car key fobs.
That's so good. That's so fucking good.
Yeah, it's killer.
Fuck. When can I see the trailer?
Well, the trailer is like the other one. It's taking a lot of time to film because we're doing a whole bunch of stuff with it. So put it this way, I'm going off with Nemid next week. We've managed to source a Rolls Royce, and I've got to go and pretend to drive this Rolls Royce around. We're doing another crazy map.
Someone's going to let you, Nemed, drive a Rolls Royce.
No, I'm just going to pretend to drive it, and Nemid's going to
Oh.
film me driving it. We've got a guy that's renting us a Rolls Royce for the afternoon.
Wow.
So yeah. There's a little surprise for people that's coming soon, so that's going to be very exciting. And then obviously you and I are working on many different projects together, many projects. But one that we've been speaking about since the Magic podcast came to be, which was the Gaff Deck. We're nearing the end of that.
Were you allowed to say that then?
What?
Were you allowed to say that then?
What, the Gaff Deck? Or
I think you were. Yeah.
are we not allowed to talk about the Gaff Deck?
Oh, yeah, that's en route to the warehouse.
It's coming soon, isn't it? I mean, we've been saying it's coming soon for 3 years, but it's took that long to get it
Sound
right.
like my wife. Hey. She's a good girl. She's shit anyway.
Now, I've known Lloyd well enough to know that he's now mentally started checking out. He's done.
Yeah.
If there was some snooker on at this point,
Oh, the World Championships finished yesterday.
yeah, you see, if there was snooker on, he'd be switching this shit off right now and he'd be watching his iPad. But I can tell there's certain signs that you can tell with Lloyd: the rubbing of the face, the looking down, the trying to think of what to say to end this thing. He's mentally checked out on this conversation. There's certain telltale signs.
I remember why I stopped recording this piece of shit. Jesus.
I'm going to wrap this up before you get to the point where you have to fake a baby emergency and run off camera. Which wouldn't be surprising. I could see you doing that. So I'm going to wrap up this podcast. There's going to be another one coming soon, right? At some point within the
I'm
next.
getting the snip.
Huh?
Oh, you meant babies.
No.
Do you know, about a week after, 2 weeks after the new baby was born, Michael, I booked in for the snip. Immediately.
Well, that's one way. My way is just complete and total celibacy. I think my virginity's grown back, to be honest. I mean, that's the other option. You know, you can go down that route.
You join the monastery with pig cake.
I'm thinking about becoming a monk. Yes.
We've already got the haircut for it.
Exactly. You know, I'm kind of part of the way there. And, you know, I'm a born again guy now and I'm making friends with everybody. So, you know.
No more rapes.
Let's not completely say that. Let's not take that off the table completely.
Fucking hell.
Oh dear me. And with that in mind, welcome back to the Magic Podcast. Thank you for joining us. We will be back at some point. This is the thing that will never die. We'll be filming this until one of us is dead, more likely me than him. But we'll keep filming this until the day that one of us dies. We can't guarantee we're going to be here every week. We can't guarantee we're going to be here every month. But at some point, you'll see Craig and Lloyd again. Because let's be honest, let's face it, we got nominated by fucking FISM for an award for a podcast that doesn't even happen on a regular basis. Fuck you, all you motherfuckers out there that have podcasts that didn't get nominated and you put the effort in every single week. Eric Tate, looking at you, mate.
Them's fighting words. This podcast, I think the best way to think of this podcast is that every now and then it'll rear its ugly head like a genital wart. You know, it just won't go away. It's full of shit, piss, mucus, pus. Does nothing but irritate you. But the only way to get them is to get fucking. To get your cock out. So, you know.
Oh my God. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us on the Magic Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform where we will never fucking be. Also, don't forget to join the Facebook group, which never fucking gets posted in. And don't forget to tell all your friends never to watch this shit. But one thing you can do is vote for us to win at FISM, because if that happens...
tinyurl.com/vote TMP25.
Exactly.
25 is the numbers. So vote TMP and the numbers 2 and 5, because I know if you're listening to this, you're a thick cunt and you probably can't spell. Because let's be honest, why would you waste your time listening to this shit when there's actually good things you could be doing with your lives? Like, I'm not even saying that.
He means it.
Like, I'm not joking. I was gonna watch what was I on? Somehow I stumbled upon a documentary on YouTube about this guy called iDubbbz and how this other guy called Sam Hind had fucking made a 2-hour documentary pranking him. I don't follow YouTubers. I don't know why. It came up in a Reddit comment that it was a funny thing to watch. And I went to put it on. I thought, you know what? I'm not going to watch this. A, I don't know who these people are. B, 2 hours of time is like incredibly valuable. What can I honestly was going to watch them for fun. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and do something productive and better for my time with 2 hours. This is how I think about the Magic Podcast. Honestly, this is a hot, steaming pile of shit. And I can only apologize to you if you've listened this far. Honestly, no. Sorry. Don't come back.
We'll see you again next time.
I'd like to thank podcast, they'll hear us. They won't see us. See? People can't spell. They don't know what they're fucking doing. They're wasting their time. Absolute
you want to do the tagline to finish it off?
Yeah, have a shit day, you cunt. Vote for us. FISM. Oh, here comes Kaylee.
Oh, my
delicious chicken, Kaylee. That's why I was zoning out. I was waiting on my treats to be given to me.
And on that, we're out. We'll see you again next time on the Magic. It's chicken satay stick. Chicken tikka. They look nice.
Yeah, they're really good.
I wish I could get one, but not to be.
You're a fat bastard.
Yeah, that's fucking true.
You don't deserve one.
Guys, we'll see you next week. No, we won't
see him. It's a fucking podcast.
We'll hear you. We
won't hear them. We don't care about their opinions. They'll hear us. If they want to. If they're stupid enough to turn back in to this
my God.
Shit.
Bye, everyone. We all love you.
Vote for us.
We apologize for disrupting your normal daily schedule. You may now relax, tuck your deck back in, and resume your regular day-to-day life. Remember to subscribe to be notified the moment each new episode goes live every Wednesday. And join our Facebook group to continue the conversation. The link is in the description to this podcast. Thank you for listening to The Magic Podcast.